Okay, so we're going to do a little change to the design patterns library, and this is going to eventually be our main project. What we want to do is design and style a home page, like a landing page. And so for that, I realized that we're probably going to need a new page to our navigation. Right now, we have 3 pages on the navigation, one for typography, one for UI elements, one for media. And it always kind of bugged me that we ended up naming the typography page index. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this index page and turn it into the home page. And this page, the code, is also going to be saved as typography. But this is going to require that we retool our whole nav bar. Okay, so we're going to focus primarily on code on the HTML today. So I have the design patterns project in my folder. I created a series of index pages because I wanted to test some things out. And I've landed on this index page. So I'm just going to delete a couple files. This has nothing to do with you. Hold on a second. So here's my folder now. I went ahead and just deleted them in the folder. So we can see index, media, template, UI elements. This template, I'm just going to delete it. I don't actually need it. I don't think I'm using it. Before I do that, let's just double check my nav bar. Good. So in my nav bar, you'll see there's typography, UI elements, media. What we need to do is we're going to add an additional link on all of our pages. And we're going to take this index page that we're, oh, that's what's going on. And this is the page we're going to use, the home page, index. And we're just going to save it as typography, and then we'll adjust all of our other stuff. Okay? So, I'm going to just do a file save as, and I'm just going to save it as typography.html. Okay? So that way, now we have index, media, typography, UI elements. Ignore this template file. Let me just go into my folder, and I'm just going to delete the one that says template now that I know I'm not using it. And so in the end, we're going to have 4 pages. Index is going to be the home page. And then we're going to link to typography, media, UI elements, which means we need to change this nav bar. So all I'm going to do is just copy this LI here. Hit enter, paste it again. This time I'm going to change this to typography. Okay. And I'm going to change this to home. Okay, and I'm going to save my changes. Okay, so at this point, we're on the index page. You can see right here it's highlighted. Oh, we're not, because if you look up here, you'll see I already changed it to typography. So keep that in mind. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this nav. I'm just going to copy the whole thing, because I want this to be my navigation bar on all of my pages. So in order to get that, I just need to open up each of the pages. So I double-click on index, scroll down. Sure enough, I don't have it there. So I'm going to highlight over that. I'm going to start right at the beginning, paste. Okay, so we have this new list item for home. Typography is now going to typography.html. And you'll see index up here. So I'm just going to save my changes. Let me close these windows. And so the idea here is just go into all of your pages and make sure you have the same nav. They should be in the same order. I'm going to do a little change there in just a moment. Go to media. Do the same thing for media. Paste it in. Save your changes. Typography should be there correct now, but double check. Make sure it looks good. Go to the UI elements. Change that one. And save. All right. Okay, so let me just go to my page and see if all the links are working. You may see things change. I'm going to hit refresh. There's home. I click home, typography, UI elements. Now this is different, and I'll explain that later in a moment. There's media. All right. The point is we want to get our navigation set up. When I click home, you'll notice it still says typography here. So if you have something like that, you're going to want to delete it. So I'm going to go back to my code, go into index, just double click it so I know I'm on it, and then just get rid of this section right here. Save my changes. Hit refresh. There, we got it. Okay. A couple other things I recommend we do while we're in here and we're doing it. is let's add a class to our navbar that on each individual page, we're going to indicate what page we are currently on. And so we're going to take the list item. We could apply it to the anchor or the list item. So I'm going to check my CSS style sheet and figure out which is the better one to use. One of the things you'll note here is that we go to my CSS. I'm looking at how I styled the navbar. There's the UL, the LI, and the A. Now, what we're going to change is really background color and color. And we set it on the A. So we want to change the, we want to basically target all current hyperlinks. So we go to index, and on the A, we're going to add a class of current. So we're just going to put it here. Class equals current, because it's the current page we're on. I'm going to copy that. So would you please do that? Take a moment, go in and add this little class here called current. So that's the index page. I'm going to double click on media, do the same thing there. Now in this case, we're on media, so we need to add the class to the hyperlink that is attached to media, because that's going to be the current page. And then we're going to save our changes. We're going to go to typography. Same thing here. And add a class of current onto typography. Go to the UI element. So just make sure you're on the correct page so that the class of current changes page by page. So there it is on index. There it is on UI elements. There it is on typography. And media is the other one. And there it is on media. Class equals current. Okay, so in order to test this, we need to go to our style sheet. So hopefully on your style sheet, you had targeted your hyperlink on your main nav. It's that .main nav ULA. And we have this color, background color. Hopefully you also had this A hover. So what I'd like you to do is, we already having the hover effect here, so let's just do this and just target on here the A dot current. Now, I think this should work, so I'm just going to save my changes and let's just see if this works. I might have to do a little bit more. Hit refresh. No. Okay, so this doesn't work because of specificity. Specificity means how specific is it. So all elements that you target, like UL and A, are worth 1. So this is 2 versus 1 here. Actually, I'm sorry. We're going to compare this A current to this, because this is where it was officially targeted first. And you'll notice there are 2 tags listed here, and there's only 1 listed here. And there is a class here, and there's a class up there. So between the fact that there's 1 class and 2 tags versus 1 class and 1 tag, we're just going to add the .main nav in front, adding another class. This should be all we need to override it, because classes are worth more than just tags. Let's see if that works. Save your changes, hit refresh, bam, there it is. Go to typography, go to UI elements, go to media, go back to home. It's all working. Make sense? So this is what I added on the CSS. I just added this .main nav at A.current. If for some reason that's not enough, you can qualify it additionally by adding UL as well. And so it's up to you how you want to do it. I generally do the least amount of specificity that I can while still getting it to work. Okay, so I'm just going to leave you with the HTML here on the left and all the CSS over here for the full navbar. That's the full navbar I did. Obviously, you're going to do your own set of colors, and you might do a different hover effect down here. In fact, let's just go ahead and just focus on the ones that are significant. This is where we added our change. That's all we added as a change right there. Okay, so while we're at it, I just want to go over one of the parts that's missing here. And we're going to start with this typography page. Okay, so we're going to work on typography, and we're going to add a page nav, because I want to talk about how page nav works. And then this will also be a good reminder of what we're going to do for this. Now, this was a typography thing I did here to sort of test out a header and a paragraph. This was just for my own benefit. So I'm going to actually delete that because I wanted to test out a few things. Okay, so at this point now, I'm on the typography page, and I just want to remind you of the structure of what we're doing here. We have under the nav bar, we have a section with a class of main and row. We have an article, which is where we're putting all of our right-hand column content, and we have an aside, which is where we're going to put our page nav. Okay, so we have two different sections here. So the article is this on the right. Here, let me save my changes. So the article is this on the right. The aside with the page nav is going to be on the left. You'll notice we have a header, and then we have another header, and we have one for lists, one for tables, etc., etc. So we have a lot of these listed here, each with headers. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because our structure is we're going to want to link to all of those header 2s that have IDs on them. Okay? So we have this class H3 ID equals headers. And if we go a little bit further down, you're going to see another header 2 there, paragraphs. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an ID to each of the headers. Anything we want to navigate to, we're going to want to make a link. Okay? And so we're going to link to the ID. So we're going to add an ID, and we're just going to put paragraphs right here. Okay, so we're going to make the ID sort of match what the header says. Okay, but keep it short. Okay, one word is probably ideal. 2 hyphenated words would work as well. So we're going to scroll down. We have another one. Here we have an ID for lists. We have an ID for tables. We're going to scroll down here. We have another header 2. And we're going to do an ID, and we're just going to set other. Now, the key to IDs, they're unique. Okay, there should only be one ID with that particular value. Should only be one ID on this page with an ID of tables. Only one ID that's other. And here's why. We're going to link to these IDs, and if we have more than one, it can't link properly. It doesn't know where to go. It's the whole point of an ID. Okay, class is for grouping similar tags. ID is for making a tag stand out and be unique. Okay, so we know what some of these are. There's also inline element, so I'm going to add an ID for that. Inline. Now I could put inline elements. Nothing wrong with that. So those are all of our sections and all of the IDs. So now let's create a page nav. Okay. And the page nav is going to go into the aside, not the article. So I'm going to save my changes. I'm going to collapse it, and I'm going to open up aside, and we're going to create another nav. Okay? And this time, we're going to give it, the other one, we gave it a class of main nav. Here, we're going to give it a class of page nav. And we're going to do a UL. L-I-A, whoa. I did not mean to do that. Okay, apparently didn't like it. Let's do it this way. A, no. Hey, href equals, we're going to do hashtag. We're going to do that. Okay, so now we're pretty much set up. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I'm going to make a link on here to each of those pages in the, or each of those IDs in the tag. So the first ID was header. So I just open it up, copy that, and I'm just going to close it. And I'm going to go in here, and I put it here, and I'm going to write headers. Save my changes. Actually, let's do this for paragraphs too. We're going to add 2 of them, and then I'll show you how it works. And hit refresh. Now, right now, you just have simple links, right? Click headers. Notice headers is now at the top. You click paragraphs. Paragraphs is not at the top. Okay, we have a problem though. Once we're at paragraphs, we can't get back up without scrolling. So in a way, we might want to have a what's called a sticky nav here. But for now, let's just get these tags working. And this is basically how you're going to set up your nav. And then we'll style it however we want to style it. But let's make sure you go ahead and create all the links for all the sections. first. So I go back to my page, and I'm just going to scroll down until I see the next header 2 with an ID. This one is for lists. So I'm just going to copy it, and then I'm going to scroll down. It's kind of nice. And then I'll just go ahead and do my LI. I'm just going to do it this way. Like so. Save my changes. And I'm just going to clean this, do this a little bit different. Okay. And I'm just going to copy this and paste it for all the other ones. So we have 1, 2, 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, keep the hashtag there. We got to have the hashtag there. List, tables. And I'm going to put here other block because it's block. And then there's inline. Tables. And then inline elements. Save my changes, hit refresh, and there's our nav. I click other. Notice it doesn't go all the way down because we didn't really put a lot in there. So I'm not done with all of this content here. But my nav should work now. If I click the link, it should take me where I need it to go. And so I'll leave you with the code. Here's the deal. You just, anytime there's a hashtag, it means we're going to link to the ID. So it just looks for an ID of headers in this case. Since there's nothing before it, it just assumes there is an ID of headers on this current page. And that's exactly what it is. So on your nav, and of course we don't have to say it goes here anymore. We have it here. So go ahead and save that for now. And each page, you're going to have a similar kind of nav for that page.